there, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, you thirsty bunch of beer drinkers, whenever and wherever you're tuning in from. Thanks for pressing play and supporting a Canadian podcast. I'm Troy Birch with Great Lakes, Ontario's local brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery based in Etobicoke who brings you this here Between Two Fermenters, the podcast where craft beer and conversation collide, straight from the tanks to your ears. Today on the show, we're staying in the city to tell you the story about a brewery on St. Clair Avenue here in Toronto. It is already set to hit their 4th anniversary next month. True History Brewing is one of those places that has quietly been earning its stellar reputation. No big gimmicks or marketing campaigns, no province-wide retail sales, just beautifully crafted German and Czech style lagers. Think pilsners, Helles box, a warm beer hall atmosphere, the kind of space that makes you want to stay for more than one pint, a place where you can easily lose track of time. Now, lagers in the craft beer world have been long overlooked, overshadowed by the hazy IPAs and the big barrel-aged stouts of the world. That said, we all know there is a resurgence in the beer world as it relates to lagers and the styles that go with them, but True History has been flying that flag proudly since 2019, and they built something genuinely special because of it. Known for their consistency and ability to showcase the best in a hard style to make, True History has acquired a loyal following of drinkers who descend upon the brewery for new releases. It was founded and co-owned by Matt Tompkins and Adam Shier, high school buddies who turned a shared love of great lager into a full-on brewery, taproom, kitchen, and retail shop located in what used to be a neighborhood cinema and later a late-night pizza joint. They started contract brewing at Junction Brewery in 2019 before finding their home on St. Clair West, a space that revealed a surprise extra 20 feet of vertical space hidden above a drop ceiling, a remnant of the building's original life as a 1920s theater. That discovery changed the whole design of the brewery and helped create the soaring, warm, welcoming atmosphere with communal seating that encourages socializing, making it a popular spot for both beer enthusiasts and casual visitors looking to relax. So today on the show, we're going to get into all of that and much more. How Matt and Adam first got into beer and what drew them to lagers specifically, the early contract brewing days at Junction and what led them to open their own space, the story behind the St. Clair location and being part of the community, their beer philosophy, the food program and how it was designed to complement their beers, their obsessive need to get the best glassware out there, and what's next for one of the most interesting brewery concepts in the city. So grab something cold, a fresh GLB perhaps, settle in, and let's get into it. Hang tight. We'll be right back with Matt Tompkins and Adam Shier from True History Brewing.
It's Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery. We believe in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. It's Great Lakes Brewery. Order online for free local home delivery. In the GTA, good times and amazing beer. That's GLB.
Good morning, fellas. Welcome to Between Two Fermenters.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, man.
Okay, so let's do this. We got Matt. Say hi, Matt.
How's it going?
Okay, that's Matt's voice. And then we have Adam.
What's up?
There we go. Okay, now we know who's who. Nice to meet you both. This is an experience for the podcast. It's been 60-something episodes, 64 episodes now, and we're meeting for the first time, really.
Yeah.
So I'm going into this.
It's been awful so far.
I've heard a lot about both of you guys. Love your beers and your space. So I'm looking forward to hearing your story. So let's grab a beer.
Yeah.
You both have chosen Little Pills. Yeah, crack that sucker into the mic. There we go. Whose was better, Mr. Boone behind the mic? I don't know.
It's a tie.
It's a tie, okay.
Well, I have
Both
to be
fantastic.
like a contortionist around my
Yeah.
mic. So.
So this is a beer we just packaged, and let me look at the date code on it. So we're recording this on June 5th, and this was packaged on June 3rd. So you're getting something nice and fresh. Mm-hmm. It's a 3% Pilsner. The label contains tasting notes, brewery information, ingredients, and hopefully all the provincial and federal legal requisites that exist in very small fonts. You could grab a magnifying glass and spend 20 minutes decoding every last detail, or you could just say fuck it and just drink the beer. Why? Because inside you'll find a crisp, light pilsner, absolutely crunked with hop flavor, snappy bitterness, and a clean finish that's way more enjoyable than an eye exam. So,
you know what would have been cooler?
What?
As if you actually wrote "fuck it" on
Yeah. I don't know why we didn't do that, actually. It's not like us. But
it's not like kids are drinking it, right?
so this is a nice 3% pils with a ton of bitterness to it. So something we're going to be enjoying all summer long.
It's really nice.
Yeah. So we have a beer. I was hoping to have a fresh batch of Absacker Helles. You guys are big into the German, the Czech style beers, and we do a beer with Brewery Rittmeyer out of Hollendorf, Germany, established in 1422, and it's a beer that we come out with every now and then. But I wanted to give you guys that. So when we release it, we're going to drive some beer up to you guys. So you brought us some goodies. We'll get you some fresh Absacker in a couple weeks.
That's I didn't know you guys. I didn't know that was like I've never tried the beer, but I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen the posts like on Instagram, whatever. I didn't know it was a collaboration with the
so
brewery in Germany.
They came down years ago and showed us how the proper way to do Helles, and they spent 3 or 4 days with our brewing team, and then after the beer was made, we actually sent some brewers out to their brewery, and they did 2-week stints learning all about German Helles and German beers, and then they brewed Sunnyside out in their brewery out there. So they released some bottles of Sunnyside in Germany, which was pretty cool.
Did you get to try any?
We did, yeah. They sent some back. Ours was better, but it was a good attempt for a company that didn't use a ton of hops like we do.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I actually just had Sunnyside for the first time in a long time. 2 weekends ago, I was out at McThirsty's in Peterborough. Yeah, it's right near my dad's cottage. I texted Lackey, tasting very good, and then I told him. He didn't respond to any of my messages. He just
never
liked
does,
the one where my dad said, because my dad was like, he said to me, he's like, "What's this beer? You should make one like this."
Yeah, nice.
And I was like, "All right, thanks for the support, Dad."
Rocky was probably riding his bike when you text him. Yeah. So before we get into all things true history, let's start with you two as people. I understand that you both met your high school buddies. You met in high school, and so where are you both from, and how did you guys meet?
We're both from Toronto originally. So like you said, we met in high school. And that's where we became friends. But then we went to separate universities. I went to Western, Adam went to McGill, did our own thing for years after that. And then I was getting more into the beer space through some like familial connections, helping out with some projects. And then I was looking for sort of a change in career, whatever you want to call it, and I was getting more into beer, and the only person I knew who knew anything about beer was Adam. So I reached out just to pick his brain, and then we just started talking, and it kind of made more sense to like do this together. And then that was 2018 is late 2018 is probably the first time we started talking about it. And then it just kind of spiraled from there, and then it was a true just like figure it out as you go along kind of thing. Nice. It's a lot of just like obviously on Adam's side, like researching more and more into like the beers he wanted to make and stuff like that, and then but on the business side being like, okay, how do you start a brewery? Because it's obviously you're trying to start a business that has its own complications, but then in the province we're at, there's a lot of regulatory and legal stuff you have to get around. So there's a lot of like, oh, we'll just do this, and then the province is like, you can't just do that. You gotta go through all the steps. It's like, okay, we'll figure it out. So that's kind of how I think we got together. I think I answered more than you were asking.
That's okay, man. What did you take in school?
I at Western was taking history and creative writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a lot of people that have taken like those kind of courses. We had Tash on last week from Brighton's philosophy major, and now he owns a bar, which is pretty cool. But and Adam, what were you taking at McGill?
I was taking economics.
Okay.
So like opening a brewery is hilarious because that's a economically smart thing to do.
Well, so after university, it sounds like you guys you were doing your own things. What were you up to after university?
I kind of like studying economics and going into that like kind of business direction. I kind of knew right away that like it wasn't very stimulating for me. And so I got a job in like the finance world on like the private equity side, like that kind of stuff. It was very boring. Yeah. And very quickly realized I hate this. But the whole thought was like, I studied 4 years at this one thing. I should give it a chance. Meanwhile, like one of my buddies and I from McGill started homebrewing, like very like Breaking Bad, meth in a bathtub style. Yeah. And so that was going like that. And eventually got to a point where I was like, I can't do this. So I quit that job. And I was like, maybe I'll go down this road of like trying to eventually start a brewery, get a gig at a brewery one day. And then there was this course in Chicago in Germany called Siebel that I wanted to take. Some periods of like unemployment in between. I eventually got a job just to get my foot in the door at Breweria Volo. Worked there for around 18 months, and that's when Matt and I, we were still friends all along, obviously in touch, but like he approached me, I think it was late 2018 or something, like that, and was like, I have this idea. And I was like, oh. And it was kind of like this weird moment for me personally where it was like, I had this plan of like work at this thing, and then Volo was going to open up their spot, maybe get some experience, go to this program. But Matt approached me and had this idea where it was like very fast tracked. So I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. But I was like, fuck it, like might as well try. And then I don't know, like kind of just blinked and we're sitting here with you now. But like,
so you were homebrewing, and then you went to Siebel.
I went to Siebel after we already opened the brewery because we started off contracting in 2019. At Junction. Yeah. And so I went to Siebel in 2020, which was an interesting
during COVID.
Yeah. I was literally in Chicago when COVID hit. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's an experience. And Matt, your role, so you were doing the brewing once you guys got up and running.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Matt, your role seems to be more on the business and operation side of things.
My role's very fluid. It's kind of just whatever it needs to be where it is. Obviously, I understand the basics of brewing. I have no interest in doing it.
Amen.
Yeah.
Our 5th anniversary, Matt's just going to brew the beer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Okay.
So I think like kind of early days, we settled into just sort of like, okay, Adam's going to go to school, going to focus on the brewery side of thing. And then I found myself really entrenched in the, like I was saying, that how do you open this? How do you start this? Dealing with the LCBO, stuff like that. So it's kind of like business operations, but then I also work behind the bar in the tap room. But like on packaging days, I help them out. And
as an owner,
also helping me in operations.
You wear many hats.
Yeah, we both do for sure. But I think like my day-to-day stuff is more the finances and the business. I guess the quote business side of it.
The reporting of taxes and stuff.
Would you say faxes or taxes?
The taxes.
Oh yeah,
I hope you're not using fax anymore.
And the taxes right now are very, very straightforward. They really made it super easy with the changeover, and that's kind of the thing that kind of like I got a little bit more into that like business. It's like boring and annoying, but it's just like it's kind of intriguing how you like figure it out. And like live within that space.
Took us years and years to get it to the point where it's simplified now. But I understand too, you were doing some sort of a Belgian beer documentary at one point. Were you in film?
I was working in film. That's kind of what I wanted to do after university. And then like I said, I was helping out. My dad started a contract brewery out west.
Oh really? What's that?
It's called Last Spike Brewery.
Yeah.
And he was bringing over 2 brewers from Belgium to sort of run it and run the program. And he was like, he had this idea of like telling this story about like bringing these kind of brewers over. And it's not just like a typical contract brewery, like really, showing that there's like roots in European brewing and stuff like that. So I kind of pitched him, or he asked me if I wanted to like create something around it. I was like, okay, that'd be pretty cool. So he sent me and my buddy who I was working with at the time on some other like corporate project stuff out to Belgium to meet up with the brewer. And then I went out to Alberta to kind of show the like progress of like going over and how it was like kind of all getting started. And I think in Belgium is where I won't say like fell in love with, but became more interested in like the concept. It was my first time in Europe as a beer drinker, I'll say. And I think that the Belgian beer culture, which is very different than like Czech or Austrian or German and stuff, and like the styles of beer I appreciate, I don't love. But it was the first time being like, oh, there's a culture around this that's so much different than like
there's a respect for the liquid.
Yeah. There's like, I think it was in day one, and I think the brewer was just like, if they serve you a beer in a glass that is not of the brewery, not that you should send it back. Do not accept it. And that was like, oh, you guys really care about this stuff. That's pretty cool.
So where can I find this documentary?
Still exists somewhere. I think I'll send you the link.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I want to see this.
It was fun. It was cool to do, and obviously, respect for my dad for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Well, would you say that was probably like the pivotal point for you to get into this industry?
I think it was sort of I was already pretty disillusioned with what I guess theoretically chosen as like a career for a lot of different reasons. And I'm glad I got out when I did, because that industry nosedived. It's coming back around. I mean, like, we're in a huge moment for Canadian film, so that's very cool. But like 10 years in between has been pretty dark. So I was already just like, I'm not really loving this. And then I had at the time met the woman who would now become my wife. So I was like, oh, I should probably like have a more stable career, so I'll start a brewery. and that's a real frying pan to the fryer kind of thing. But
she's still with you. That's good on her.
There's no reason she should still be. She should have been like, no. Like, she's a psychotherapist. She's incredibly successful and really smart, and was just like, yeah, totally, you can start a brewery, I guess.
So when you have a bad day, you have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
So July 1st marks your 4th anniversary, but it's not really your 4th anniversary. It's your 4th anniversary of your opening your doors to the location on St. Clair, correct?
Yeah.
But you were contract brewing at Junction in 2019. So you went from home brewing to getting some experience at Volo, Adam, and then you started to do contracting. So walk me through that period. How did True History get started? Like, how did you get that? You guys talked and you had this business idea and it was fast tracked, and then you went to Junction and said, we have this idea, and you made it happen. So walk through that period.
So at that time, I guess like our view, obviously things evolve over time. Our view of what True History was going to be was not necessarily what it is now, but like the idea was always to make more low ABV approachable beers. I don't even know if it was like we saw the industry going in that direction so much as like that's what we liked to drink personally. But that was kind of the thing. So we just approached them. I kind of like that period in a lot of ways is like, I don't want to speak for Matt, but for me is like kind of blacked out of my memory just because like contracting is like, it was always a proof of concept for us to be able to do what we're doing now. Just like, see, can we make this thing be like even? And then that's just because you can't make money contracting in this environment.
You wanted to see if the beer was good, and you wanted to see if
you could get it into restaurants. People responded. The brand, the beer, the liquid, the branding, the experience, everything. But like approaching Junction, I don't know how we managed to like negotiate the production times that we did with our beer with them.
Well, I know how. It was the former. We got in right before Junction's team transition.
Okay,
and the former team. Again, they had just started their contracting program. So I think we were, if not the first one of the first three to approach them, and they were clearly trying to figure it out just like we were, and we pitched like what we wanted to do, and they're like, yeah, totally. And then we signed a contract, and then like a new team came on and was like kind of looking at the contract being like, this is not good for us. And we were like, yeah, no, totally.
Good for True History, but
like,
good for them.
But we were like,
6 weeks conditioning times on lagers. For not very expensive prices. And like, understandably from their perspective, they, started to change their tune on that when that transition did happen. Not to disparage anyone, but we also have signs. Anyways, so eventually when that started happening, Matt and I maybe, I think not necessarily subconsciously, but like consciously we're like, okay, maybe we have to start seriously thinking about this and looking for space and whatever. And that was late 2019. I remember that. I don't remember when we first started looking for spaces seriously. Probably the end of 2019, early 2020, where we started like.
Well, if we opened in 2022, it took us a year to build. So like, 20 I think like early 20s when we started looking.
Maybe.
Yeah, because it was like spring into summer.
Well, I remember being away at Chicago and like messaging Matt about a space we were looking at, and like he was talking with the landlord and like whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, so the whole contracting experience was great to get our like foot in the door of the industry and say like, okay, I think this might be viable. But like, it wasn't necessarily the best experience from like a mentality perspective.
Okay. So that was your recipe. You did that recipe, and then they were brewing it for you.
Yeah.
Matt, you took the beer and you had it in the LCBO. So True History did have beer in the LCBO at one point.
Yeah. We started, our first beer was in the LCBO. I guess if you are going to contract, like Adam's correct, you can't make a real business out of just contracting. The only way you're going to get close is the LCBO.
Yeah.
Like it's truly the only way that you can get close. And that was, we had gotten kind of lucky because we got in as like an ad hoc listing.
Yep.
And I think like Adam was saying, he's just like, we made the beers we wanted to make because we like to make them. The first beer we made was a dry hop pills. And it just so happened the LCBO was like, we're actually kind of looking for something like this.
Nice.
Like there's a category opening. So they're like, okay, well, we'll take it on. So that's how we got started. That was like sort of our main thrust to start contract brewing. Because like you like having the listing helps because you're just like, well, we need to.
You need to produce it.
Make this. Yeah. Just going to and from Junction side, they're like, okay, it's a consistent business.
Yeah.
Like that was our other sort of like leverage. It was like, we're making this quite a bit. It was selling pretty well for a no brick and mortar brewery, like no name kind of starting. So we had a little bit of just like, okay, like it's moving along. So we were able to get our foot in the door that way.
Nice. So you're in the LCBO, you were having some issues though with the contract, and that made you guys start looking at space and potentially in your mind started envisioning a new direction for True History from LCBO retail focus to taproom specific, or were you guys just let's find the location first and see what comes of that?
Maybe a bit of both.
Yeah, I think a bit of both.
A bit of both. Like I think a big obsession of both Matt and I's, and we were very lucky, and it evolved over time, of course, but like we had a very inline vision of what our space would be. Matt and I used to like have this saying, we still do, but we used to have this saying where it was like what we want for the space was like, when you're going out with friends and you have maybe like a day planned of like bars to hop around to, but then you hit that one and you're like, we're not leaving. So we call that putting in a shift, right? So you sit there for 6, whatever it is, right? And that was the kind of the vibe we wanted. And I think, but the actual, like you mentioned like what the direction with the beers was and maybe, I think that actually, so I said I was in Chicago for COVID. And then I was supposed to go right to Germany for the second half of my program, but I actually had to go back to Toronto. And then I didn't go back until like October, November for 2 months to Germany later that year. And that was kind of when, again, we had the direction like low ABV approachable beers, but being over in Germany for me was like the game changer for how I personally wanted the direction and the feel and the beers to go for True History. And just being... I don't know if you want me to jump into this now, like that kind of experience. Like that, Matt was talking about when he was in Belgium and the culture they have around beer. To me, German beer, sorry for anyone out there who's offended by this, they make the best beer in the world. For me, it's not particularly close. Like I would go for a German lager if I could only drink a Helles for the rest of my life, that's fine with me. But outside of the liquid, like the culture they have around beer there, the beer gardens, the breweries, the restaurants, there's these people who are drinking the best beer in the world. They're all together. Sometimes they're by themselves, but no one's sitting there talking about beer. They're just enjoying each other. They're having a blast. They're all putting in a shift. They're all there for 6 to 8 hours. Like it's the best thing. And that just like along with what they were making and having people experience was very changing for me in terms of my mentality towards what we wanted to build here. So then when I came back later that year, I kind of like Matt and I discussed like more, I guess we signed in 2021. Oh, I was looking at it. Sorry. In 2021, the lease, January.
Yep.
And then we got possession in June 2021 and started construction, but we had to have like a vision. And that's when we started thinking like, okay, like we feel like Toronto is missing that culture around beer that I experienced in Germany. And that's what we kind of tried to build towards.
I think a lot of people are envious of that because you have succeeded in doing just that. But so when you found your space at St. Clair West, walk me through that time of finding it. So you saw it, and what was your first reaction when you saw that building?
Yeah, how did you know that story about the ceiling, by the way?
I know things.
I think that...
Are we bugged?
So the first reactions, and like, look, you guys know well. So when you're looking for like a brewery in a big city like Toronto, you are at any given time looking at, like, if you're lucky, 3 spots that check all the boxes we were looking at. We wanted to be commercial, not industrial, in terms of like the actual retail, or
someone could walk up to you.
Yeah. So you're already kind of stuck there. We wanted to have a patio that was really, really, really important to us. So, okay, that's another box you got to check. And then you need enough space, both vertical and horizontal. So you're really just like, you're looking at a very, very, very few places. And this one came about because we had real estate agents we were working with at the beginning, which we didn't really like them. They didn't understand what we were going for. And then we actually met our then real estate agent. He was the listing agent on a property and then he like kind of straight up, he's like a big beer nerd as well. He kind of straight up, he's like, I will, like, come with me. He's like, I will find this for you. Yeah. And so we did that, and he, he looked around a couple places, but he was very early on. He's like, what do you think of like St. Clair West, Oakwood Village? And there was nothing up there. I had been driving down Oakwood through St. Clair to...
He also lives there. So that's
he lives there, yeah.
He was like, I selfishly wanted...
He's like, I selfishly wanted to be there, but he's like, what do you think? And I was like, at the time, I was living with my parents. I'd moved out of my apartment, moving back with my parents, but I was driving to go see my then girlfriend, now wife, and she lived in the Junction. So I was driving down Oakwood a lot to go across St. Clair. And I, like, especially driving down Oakwood, like that street, I was like, there's something here. Like, there's something here. There's, like, this place just, like, seems like it's ready to kind of explode. So when he said that, we were like, yeah, totally. There's not a ton of options. And then he brought us to this place off listing. And he, he showed it to us. And I think we were like, okay, it's got the patio. It's on St. Clair. That's pretty good. But, we were just like, the ceilings or whatever. And he was like, no, drop ceilings, like, look. And we like looked up, and I think we were just both like, whoa. Yeah. Like, whoa. This is really, really high, and this is just sitting here. So
But also the way that, like, so it was the big slice. Like, and the way they...
Do you ever get anyone coming in still saying
yes, all the time? And they, by the way, and this I hope this isn't just, maybe we'll delete this later. I don't know. They're like, they come in 5 years after the fact. Yeah. And like, is this the big slice still? And they're like, we say no. Yeah. And they're like, all disappointed. It's like, if you haven't been here in 5 years, you can't be that disappointed.
Well, and you got to read the sign up above that says True History Brewing.
No one wants to do that. But this place, the way they had it set up, like the footprint, we took a slightly bigger footprint. Like it was changed a bit. Yeah. But the way they had this laid out, like the kitchen was like 7 rooms. And then the front area was like, and they had this drops thing that like, it was like 7 feet. Yeah. And so I'm looking around and like, and then we asked the landlord who was there, obviously. I was like, how big are the ceilings here? Because we could tell it was drop ceiling. Yeah. And he was like, I think the exact measurement is like 17 feet, 3 inches or something. Okay. And he's like 17 feet, 3 inches. And I'm like, dog, do you know what a foot is? And then I think he lifted up one of the pails or something, and we looked up, and I was like, holy potatoes.
Is that when you realized that this is the spot?
I think that was like
the combination of everything, and then you saw the ceilings. We're like, we can put a tank in here.
I think it was a real like, I don't think we're gonna find
another spot
this anywhere else. Like you could, but we weren't willing to sit. We'd been looking for close to almost a year probably, and we were just like, okay, this is pretty good. This checks, I think, pretty much all of our boxes. Yeah. Like there was nothing, and like at the time our landlord was also like, oh, and I'll give it to you in like a box, and you can take more possession. Like our landlord is great. Like he's
awesome.
Like I've heard horror stories of other landlord stuff. Our landlord is fantastic, and he helps us out in a lot of ways. And he's very like open to whatever kind of we want to do. And he was like, yeah, I'll just give it to you in white box condition, like you're ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah. So you're like, I don't know if we're gonna get better than this. Like this is pretty great. The only like I think one thing it didn't check our boxes, or it checked like kind of an interesting box, is obviously the area is my kind of bit on it is like a lot of people go like, oh yeah, this area is like up and coming. I was like, I kind of need it to up and come. Yeah, like it's been up and coming for like 15
residentially
years.
It's there.
Yeah.
Residentially, it's there. It's just like we.
Oh, you
need something that's going to drive foot traffic outside of.
You need an influx of new businesses coming to the area, but also new residents into the area.
Yeah. But new businesses of a certain variety.
Yeah.
Like. We have so many great cafes. There's like so many great cultures in the area. We have great like Mexican spots, great like Italian spots, whatever. But we need something that's like a bit of like brings a bit of a younger demographic in.
Yeah, you're talking to a guy who helps run the brew pub for Great Lakes and in an area that's supposed to be developed, but 10 years from now, we hope we're not still saying that because it's going through that right now. But so it was a theater in the 1920s.
Yep.
Are you happy with the place you found? Like, is this like a good find? We're really confident that this is the right spot. You sign the lease, and COVID hits.
No,
COVID was going.
COVID was done. By the time we opened, I think we opened a month, maybe a couple months after like the lockdown.
You were doing your building and stuff during.
Which honestly, like,
how challenging was that?
We got lucky, I think.
Yeah.
The one thing, like, so we got possession June 1st, 2021.
Yeah.
We opened July 1st, 2022, like to the public. Mm-hmm. We had our soft openings like the first week of June, 2022. We could have opened then. The one reason why we didn't was maybe there was something with licensing that we were holding out for.
It was the fire code.
The fire code, but also like the brewery install.
Yeah.
So what we were worried about too was like one of the great luxuries that afforded us being a contract brewery first was that we had beer brewed at Junction that we could serve over the bar. So we opened the bar before the brewery had beer ready to produce. Mm-hmm. But what I was worried about was that if I didn't know in the install there were some hiccups with that, just like the commissioning of the brew house. Mm-hmm. If we ran out of beer, then we have this gap where it's like very awkward, right? Like, what do you mean you don't have liquid to give me
at a brew pub?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of like the reason for waiting a bit too.
And then you finally opened, like you said, in July 2022. Mm-hmm. So for someone who hasn't been there before, can you describe, both of you in your own words, what the space is? What does it look like? What are they walking into?
I think that. So Adam was talking about like bringing some of that culture back to where we were. I think that. One thing we were heavily inspired by, German beer halls, European beer halls in general, let's just say, like across the board, obviously, like mostly German. But then another big thing, obviously being from Toronto in Ontario, was like we had this, how do you meld that with like sort of cottage feel, sort of like your grandma's house kind of thing. So we were like, okay, we want to kind of bring both those things together. So our inside space is, one big long bar. Oh, and just so Adam and I designed all of this ourselves, which in some ways is great because one thing we said, we're like, well, if we work with a designer, it's just going to look like like everywhere else. So we're like, we'll design it ourselves. The downside is you don't think like a designer. So you're like, I probably shouldn't have put that there. Or like thought about it in like one way or the other. Like, our bar top is, one solid piece of walnut, unfinished, which is cool. It looks awesome, but it scratches like hell. Yeah. And like, we probably should have like recessed
which other people say adds to the character, but for us, we're like,
and it does. Like it took me about a year, but I finally was just like, okay, it's going to get beat up. We can send it down, whatever. Yeah. So anyways, like, we have that. We 3 long tables in there, which is both obviously a nod to German beer hall culture, but also it's also the most efficient way to get the most amount of seats in the space. And then small kitchen, retail spot, and then one of the big things that Adam and I wanted to do is on one half, basically, as you go into the washrooms, it's all wallpaper. So like wainscoting up into wallpaper. And when we were putting it in, like before anything was in, we had put in the wainscoting and the wallpaper, and all of the people working there. We're just like, I don't know about this. Like, this is not great. And we were like, no, trust us. And then everything went in, and everyone's like, yeah, it does really tie the room together. It's like, yeah.
Well, a lot of people talk about your wallpaper. Yeah. It's one thing they say. Yeah. they talk a lot about the beer and the experience, but they are always like, look how cool this wallpaper is. They have little Easter eggs for
Yeah, it was designed by Kate Golding, who she had done design work in and around Toronto. I think when we saw her, she was doing work for Matacchione, the one that was out east before it closed. And we were like, oh, this would be great. And she designed it, and it's like the design process is tricky. I think we sent her like a couple references. She sent one thing back. We're like, yeah, that's it. Like nailed it first go. We're like, awesome.
And she's the one who put like the THB on the mug. Yeah. I'd say another big part of the design thing that we put a lot of thought into was the back bar. So obviously the front bar, like the solid butcher's block of 18 feet, walnut, whatever. That's the design. We designed that
we
ourselves as well. And then obviously the woodworker did it we didn't make the bar. But behind the bar, like what we really wanted for us was, and this is like not shade on anyone who does it, but like we wanted to move away from the like we didn't want it to be so obvious that you were in a brewery. And like, here's our equipment.
Yeah.
We wanted you to see it, but we wanted it to be like, here's this like old European countryside farmhouse brewery where they had a space out front and they made a restaurant and then the brewery's in the back. So like what we did is we made this like brick wall. It's like, it's real brick, but it's like half kind of brick put up on wood. Yeah. And then we found these like old vintage windows at like one of the stores on Castlefield. And put them up so it's like you can see into the brewery and you're like, oh, there's the brew house, kind of, you can see us working, but it's not just like right in your face. It kind of separates you from like, it allows you to leave the I guess the industrial feel of like if you just see equipment there.
It's right, some to the imagination of your customers coming in. I forgot to ask you guys this question. So where did the name come from?
Matt?
Okay, so the name was okay, I'll tell you the actual story, but at this point, what I tell people about the name is it just kind of evolved. You know when you like say a word so many times, you're like, it kind of loses meaning. And that's the way I do it. I have a tattoo here on my arm that's just for like TTTD, which I got when I was like 18 and angsty, and it's too tough to die. But now I'm 34 and washed, so it's too tired to drive. It's like sometimes names just change. Yeah. So True History was kind of inspired by this. It's like a novella written by this guy. It was kind of like a satire on
science fiction,
religiosity and science fiction and something like that. And we were just like, oh, that's kind of fun because it's taking historical context and putting your own spin on it, which is like kind of what we were thinking of doing. We're nodding to the fact that there's like this historical reference to it, but it's ours. A good reference point is like Adam's a big stickler where it's like, it's not a Munich Dunkel, it's a Munich style Dunkel because we're not in Munich. So it's like, okay, like we're referencing that, but being honest about like, this is our take on it. And now it is the words that it is. But like that's the sort of longer version when people come into the bar and ask.
Well, the name of the novella was True History.
Yeah, it was True History. Sorry, that's the good.
But wasn't the whole thing that you told me, and because Matt actually came to me with the name, he decided it, and I was like, I like the story behind it. And then at the end, I was like, I don't know if I like identify with this anymore. But like, I think wasn't the whole thing that like he created this like fantastical story where it was like all these like very obviously kind of exaggerated, almost untrue things.
Yeah.
And then in the foreword or the preface to the book, he was like, I called this True History because I'm the only one to tell you that it's actually a lie.
Yeah.
And we kind of liked that little like, I don't know if like what the word is. Yeah, play on words, but also it's like kind of like not taking it seriously and also being like, stop taking yourself so seriously too, right?
There's,
like everyone else.
Reverence, but also your own kind of thing on it. I think that like it also has evolved. Like if we were doing it again, would we name it that? Like I don't know, but there's also a lot of people who just kind of come in. They're like, oh, because you make beers to such a style, historical.
Everyone
and I'm just like,
that.
To be honest, that's what I thought too.
Yeah. But it's also like, okay, if that's what you want to take from it, that's fine by us. Like that's I don't care. It's also like it's a name at the end of the day, and I think that there's like so many breweries are named, especially all over the place, are named for like different reasons. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, this was the way it was.
It felt right once you found it.
Yeah, and I'm not going through the legal process of changing that. That's too much work. And we also have way too much branded stuff at this point.
Oh, for sure.
We'd have to redo all of our glassware. So unless you want, I don't know, 10,000 pieces of glassware.
I've heard how much you guys. No, I know how much you guys spend on glassware. We'll get to that later, though. Yeah. let's talk about your patio. You mentioned that was on your checklist.
Mm-hmm.
So someone's coming to your place for the first time and they're patio lovers. Why should they go to True History?
Ooh, that's a good
you know
question.
what I think? I think that it is kind of like it's hard. It's an outside space, so it's hard to.
Well, I hope your patio's outside.
Yeah. But it's like it's hard to extend like the exact feel of the inside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like with the plants and the flowers from a vibe perspective, we just got our whole patio restained, so it like kind of matches the inside. It looks really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the side of the building, which I think is on the side street, so you kind of feel removed from the hustle and bustle.
Of St. Clair.
Of St. Clair, of like a main street, all the cars, whatever. High fences, so it's like nice and like private with the plants. I also think that like, what was I? Oh, from like, so where we're positioned, this kind of sucks, to be honest, like in the shoulder season. So like spring, if it's still a little bit chilly, and fall when it's getting chillier. It's really nice how like even on the longest day of the year when you're in the middle of the summer and it's like 35 degrees out with humidity at your 43.
Yeah.
The longest we'll have sun there is like 3:30ish, maybe a bit longer. So you'll get like nice shade as well from the building.
A little reprieve.
A little reprieve. So you're still like hot, but you're not like directly in the sun, blah, blah, blah. So I think it kind of offers like a really nice mix of all worlds like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And you guys do some other stuff on the patio that we're going to talk about in a little bit here when we talk about your beers. But last question before we take a little tiny break. I want to know about your brew house. Where'd you get it? What size is it? And take me on a little tour through it.
Yeah. So we our brew house is 10 barrel, 12 hectoliters. So our manufacturer is called QTS. They're from Wisconsin. One of my instructors, teachers, whatever you want to call them, at Siebel helped me, specifically us, with the project because he just has been in the industry a long time, very smart guy, had his own brewery, worked for an equipment manufacturer, had a lot of experience. So he helped me through the process of not only going through and interviewing all these manufacturers, which is like you got to know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
And but also like designing it with those manufacturers based on what we wanted to do, because I had never done this before.
Did you say we want to be a lager focused?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so did that. We found QTS out of Wisconsin. Really great because at the time it was when what was that
DME?
Shipping lane that was blocked in Egypt? I think it was. So shipping prices, containers were like. Which one?
Suez?
Yes, Suez Canal. Yeah. And so shipping prices for anything, because we knew we wanted to go North American made or European. And the European was not an option because containers where they were like, used to be like 4,000 were now like 12,000. Yeah. Wisconsin is a 10-hour, 11-hour drive, very close. And they had worked with some like really great breweries that we knew would not have worked with them if they weren't great. Yep. The interview process, they answered all the questions that we had before we even asked them. It was just great. Husband and wife that own it, so it's like kind of like family owned, even though they're So we designed that 10 barrel, 12 hectoliter, mash, mixer, lauter ton, whirlpool, kettle, all designed for a decoction. So decoction into the kettle. One day would be nice to have a designated vessel, but that's for down the road. And then all of our cellar tanks are from them as well. So right now we have 8 tanks, 3 24 hec, 5 12.
Okay.
We only do lager outside of our Hefeweizen, so we don't have any bright tanks. We ferment, condition, package out of the same tank. We don't do any dry hopping or anything like that, so it's very easy. If we do, we just transfer to another tank. And yeah. So that's all from QTS as well.
Is there room to put some more in the future?
I often tell people, like, if I knew we were going to be... When we started, like, even opened our doors, like, we still had, like, lower ABV hoppy options on. We had, like, a West Coast Pale Ale, a more Vermont-style Pale Ale that's, like, a bit, less sweet, more balanced kind of thing. And people, new brewery, they always, at that point still were like walking in, do you have anything hoppy? Do you have a stout? Blah, 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 sour. And, Matt being on the front of house side of things, because I was very personally uninterested in making those beers by that point. But Matt was like, people asked for them, so maybe we should do it. And so we did it for a bit. I can't remember exactly how long. And eventually I kind of just was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. And we started making lagers only and training the customer when they came to us to know what to ask for. Yeah. And that whole thing switched, and now they don't ask for those other things anymore. So there's a reason why I went on that. I lost my train of thought. You asked the question.
Oh, room to expand.
Room to expand, yeah. So I would have built it, if I knew we were going to be this direction, I would have done horizontals.
Yeah.
And then there would have been some ratio of conicals to horizontals.
Yeah.
So 2 to 1 or whatever it is.
Well,
because it would have been much more efficient. We have room to expand both vertically and wide.
Well, keep being successful and you'll have that opportunity.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the beer. So grab an extra beer right now and hang tight. We'll be right back.
Well, how's your doodle? Roland Baggett here, rolling solo down here at Sunnyside Beach. I's likes to get here nice and early to grabs me some prime sandy real estate. I lays out me towel, slather myself liberally with tannin butter, and soak in some tasty vitamin D. Speaking of tasty, looky in me cooler box. A whole gaggle of Sunnyside Session IPA. Big on the taste, low on the alcohol. A springtime, summertime, anytime treat, and a permanent staple in the grips of me fingers. Oh, and check out the can to see a brand new me. Been lifting some iron to boost me biceps, triceps, and me deltoids. You know what they say, sun's out, guns out. Work your tan and crack a can of Sunnyside Session IPA.
All right, fellas, crack that sucker. All right. We're into the Wunderlust now. So we had the 3% little pills, and now we got Wunderlust. So let's talk about your beers, though. Let's talk about your brewing philosophy. So we've talked about this multiple times. Lagers, low ABV, approachable yet loaded with flavor, European style. So, the market is dominated by big IPAs. If you look at the LCBO and convenience from a craft perspective. So you took a real stance on the lager thing. So where is the conviction that it just come from your experience in Germany? Or did you say, we just want to be something a little different?
Maybe there's an element of both. I think for me, the upfront thing was just the experience I had there. Drinking the beers, being in the culture of it, like I was saying. And I just felt that, obviously you have Godspeed here, who are great. I kind of feel like we are like the inverse of Godspeed in a lot of ways. Like they're mostly Czech focused with a little bit of German. And obviously they do other stuff as well. And we're mostly German focused with like a tiny bit of Czech. And sometimes we do other stuff. Yeah. Right? So
and how did you convince Matt? Matt, how were you convinced to go this route?
It didn't really take a ton of convincing. I think that like my one thing, like Adam said, was that it was more like, yes, there is still this consumer who is asking for a certain kind of like hoppy thing. And I would say this, like, I think Adam's whole thing was just like, well, I'm not passionate about it, so it's not going to be good. I'm like, dog, this is like pretty good. Like you're making really good like beers. This kind of beer that you're claiming that you don't like. So it's not like it didn't come from like a lack of quality. I think like what kind of, I don't know. I think Adam has a way of wearing you down. Maybe he was just like, I'm gonna do this, and I was like, well, I can't brew the beer. So
he was shaking his head when you were saying that, but it sets you guys apart. It does set you apart from everyone else.
Where we are now, you mean?
Where you are now, yeah. By offering that. Matt, you still say people come in and do ask for stuff. So how do you convince them to move in the other direction?
Well, okay, so because I work the bar more, like I'll give you sort of like a gamut of like what people most people at this point know what they're getting into. Yeah. The one question we sometimes, actually this could be like a reference to like how people's tastes maybe are changing. They don't ask for IPAs. They ask for what's your most hoppy or least hoppy? What's your darkest? What's your lightest?
That's interesting that happens with you guys, because what we get is what's your biggest IPA, or what do you have that's low ABV? Yeah.
Well, so I guess it'll change. We kind of get that because like most of our stuff on our, like right now, the way our menu is set up, it's like mostly below 5%, and then our Doppelbock, which is 7.1. So if you want your big stuff, you know where you're going. If you want your low stuff, you know where you're going. But yeah, it's less now like, oh, I want like, do you have an IPA? We still get it, and we'll still get like, do you have a stout? And like, you're kind of just like, well, the stout
generally
is
speaking, it's gone down than when
it's. Oh yeah. It's what I'm saying is it still happens.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is that it's less like, what's your least, like, it's now referenced to, I guess for lack of a better word, like tasting or beer character notes, not like style.
Yeah.
It's like, what's your darkest? What's your lightest? What's your hoppiest? What's your least hoppy? So it's become easier to sort of like steer people in that direction, because I do think we have styles that can satisfy most people. So I think like what you asked, like what convinced me, I think it was when Adam kept making different styles of lager, and I kind of noticed, I was just like, there's actually way more optionality or what's the word, like there's
diversity.
Yeah, way more diversity in lagers than there is in IPAs.
Well, that's a great segue, because Adam, I was going to ask you've said before that there are more variations of lagers for brewers to explore than IPAs. So
where did I say?
Unpack that.
I think it's like, for me,
I'm just making stuff up, but it works, doesn't it?
It's been true so far. I think that for me, it's like, okay, so like if we're going to just focus on the lager side, like you have lagers from all over the world, let's say Germany. You have different regions in Germany that either make their own versions of lager, right? Different styles.
Yep.
Or they have different takes on the same styles. For example, a Southern German versus like a Northern German Pilsner, right? So there's just like so much with it. Then you go into the historical styles that may not be as prevalent, or like they're isolated to certain geographical areas now, only brewed by sometimes maybe one or two breweries. If you're going into like, I'm not trying to harp on IPAs, because I love an IPA once in a while, but the diversity there comes from East-West Coast, your ABV range, and then like what are you?
Well, hops.
And then hops.
Yeah.
For me, and I'm not gonna like, maybe someone else is different. Like at a certain point, if you give me 3 IPAs, all with different hops, by the 4th one, to me, I get tired out and they taste the same. I feel like if you had a Dunkel, a Helles, a North German Pilsner, and
that's a lot different. No, but yeah, I get your point.
But that's the diversity, right?
Yes, yeah.
You have all these things, and that's just Germany, right? Yeah. Then you get into Czech lager culture, you can get into Belgian lager culture, you can get into North American lager culture, Austria, all those things, right? So that's where it comes from for me. And then I also feel like for us, what I think on one of our insane Instagram posts recently, I mentioned how did we burn too bright too fast with our like event ideas and whatever, because it feels like I'm running out of them now, because we've done a lot. But I think one of the parts that I didn't think of even off the bat, but then somehow stumbled into, and Matt and I have played off this with our events and beers, is the historical and storytelling aspect that you can lean into with each. So whether that's based around an event, a beer specific thing, the event we did in March with Melan, where we kind of like, Alex and I from Melan picked 5 regions in Germany, a beer style from each that either most represents or we like most from that region, and each brewed our own version. And then at each brewery did an event, so 10 beers. There's so much room for that kind of storytelling and experience for the consumer with lager, I feel like.
And it's one of the hardest styles to hide deficiencies. So what are you doing to take precautions when it comes to brewing and then the cellaring and serving them? Not to mask anything, because you don't want to mask anything, but you have an IPA that's not coming in or it's not fermenting that well. You might throw in more hops in secondary. But so what steps do you guys take to ensure that your lagers are going to be the best that they can be?
I mean, there's obviously like cleaning and sanitation practices. I think what really helps for us is that we don't make any of the other things, so there's no risk of cross-contamination.
True, yeah.
Right? Like the only other yeast we use is a Hefeweizen yeast, which we just make sure we clean our tanks really well and whatever, but it's not like a diastatic yeast that's going to go crazy in your brewery and survive in crazy conditions and hop from this place to that place, right?
No sours or anything.
Exactly. So I think that really helps a lot. And then it's just like, I think a lot of it is repeatable, right? So it's just like the same cleaning practices, the same, like, obviously diacetyl test, the same fermentation unless you're tweaking something, all these things, same packaging processes. And we use Northern canning, which is always really great with their CIP and stuff like that. So it allows us to be in a position where we obviously take the precautions to make sure the beer the customer is going to drink is going to be great. But like up until this point, there's been no worries of anything.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want to say that out loud for a second.
Well, you knocked on wood.
Yeah.
How do you two decide on what to brew, when to brew it, and walk me through the naming conventions of your releases?
Well, what to brew, Adam just decides what he wants to brew. If I give any input, it's like, hey, this didn't sell sold very fast and this didn't. So if you're picking between the two, maybe go with this one.
I feel like that happens less often now. We had a Rauk beer on recently, which was part of that event.
Yep.
That sold slower, but that
yeah,
I think
we knew that one.
Yeah.
But there's stuff like
that's a smoked beer for anyone out there listening.
I think there's like some stuff where it comes down to like what's Adam interested in the moment, what he wants to do. Like there's very few times where he would say like, I'm brewing this, where I'd come, because like I also handle a lot of our like wholesale licensee sales and stuff. Like I might mention to me like, hey, just so you know, this one might sit around for a while because this is the historical sales of this beer. Now things have like changed. Like obviously we're still relatively young, so it's like you're getting busier and busier. Like it might not stay the same, like it might shorten, but like this one just like didn't move as quickly as you thought. So like overall, like it's kind of like whatever he wants to make. And
it sounds like Mike Lackey from 2000, 2015.
Yeah.
Whatever's on his mind, he's just gonna do it and tell the rest of us.
But I think one of the big things for us that I've noticed, I think so we do it's in tank right now. We just it's our third year doing it. It's called a shank beer. Mm-hmm. So think of it as like a 3% Helles. Mm-hmm. Kind of like defined by like back in the old days based on like alcohol levels. They had certain tax brackets in Germany for beers, right?
The old days, we still have that.
Well, yeah, but not based on alcohol.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We still do.
Well, only if you go above 11.9.
No.
Here?
Below 2.5%, you paid less excise.
Oh, I'm changing the ABV on that next year. That's why he handles that. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's 100% the same way.
So, Mike, we can cut that part. But like the first year, we called it our table Helles.
Yep.
Because we were concerned that shank beer, like no one's going to know what that is.
Yep.
Last year was the first year we called it a shank beer, and Bavarian-inspired shank beer. And there's been other beers like this too. This year, the same thing, because I think there's maybe been like a trust developed with people who come in, or maybe they know to expect something when they come in, that we don't have to worry about the naming of something as much from a style perspective. Yeah. Like even if it's something like a root beer, right? Like all these things, like people are just going to try it as long as, like a root beer is like, oh, it's like a historical German red lager. People are like, we're good to go. Yeah. But I think that's developed over time too, is like we don't have to worry about outside of like something like a Rauk beer, smoked beer, like where people are more willing to try stuff just based on knowing it's a German lager.
Now too that you have everyone's got a phone in their pocket, they can quickly open it up. Maybe the front of house staff are doing a great job explaining what it is, but they can also look it up and go, okay, this is visually supposed to have some like smoke and smoked ham qualities to it or whatever in a beer like that. But where do you come up with the names though? Do you base it on the style or do you base it?
So we used to have a more crazy naming strategy. Like honestly, it kind of.
I have a note on my phone.
Yeah. Now I would say like if I could summarize it now, like one, we're just like, are we going to sit down and brainstorm stuff? It's just like, let's just call it what it is. Yeah. I would say for anything that we're doing that is German or Czech or it's usually just we're going to call it what it is. Now there's some exceptions to that, like our Helles, which we brew all the time, is called mild lockout. I guess we could switch to Helles, but we've got the label and everything. Like, are we going to do that? And it's got a name recognition now. Like, do you really want to do that? Our German Pils is called just a Pils.
Like new stuff that's more traditional. Like I've really I don't know if it's like a fatigue thing with like the naming process. Because like when you get a good name, it is fun and it's like nice to not be so serious. But also we've gravitated more towards the just like, I love how when you go to a brewery in Germany, it's just the Dunkel.
Yeah. Well, it depends
it's just
on
the lager beer.
The region you go into.
Right. It's just a lager beer. It's just what it is. And maybe, there's probably...
So you're taking it back to basics in both the styles and the naming, is what you're saying.
I think that's something that we've done, like Adam said, like there is genuinely, if we're being honest, there's a fatigue element of it as well.
Focusing on quality over quantity, focusing on, in the naming too, quality over quantity. This is what it is, and this is simplified. Everyone will remember.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had a Dunkel at True History. They don't need to know that was called... some German name. Like us, we call a couple of our stuff like Frühschoppen and Absacker and Morgenmuffel. But then when people say, oh, Morgenmuffel, what was that? Oh, it's a Weiss beer. So it's,
But there's like for our Czech stuff, it's all just the degree of Plato in which we call it. And then there's also
but there's an educational piece you guys are going to have to explain to customers what that actually means.
But there's also like some German stuff that we have named, I think like our 100th brew was like inspired by the Special Hell from Ondex, and we were coming up with a name, and we just called it Nothing Special, because obviously it's like self-deprecating, but it like plays on that. And then we have an export beer called Schaeffler, which is the people who would make the barrels. So it's like we sometimes are like, oh, you know what, actually like this, sometimes when it works, it
nod
works.
to the history and those before.
You're just like, oh, it works. And then like another example for like our Austrian stuff, which might like segue into one other thing you want to talk about, is like we did the Vienna lager that we've done consistently, we called Beisel beer, because Beisel is like bistro beer. That's basically what it means, and it's also a nod to Beisel, who runs our kitchen. So we were like, we made it kind of in line with them for their first year anniversary, and just like it's stuck. Like that's a beer that just sells really quickly. Nice. People love that beer. So that's like an example where we're like, okay, we're not just going to call it the Vienna lager because we actually have a name that makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the stupid names we did was actually the beer that we did with you guys, which you don't know about.
I forgot about it.
Yeah, we called it Feels Like Five because we actually
Feels like 5 o'clock?
No.
Oh, okay.
Stupider than that. Mike Lackey went down on his bike or somehow he got there to get yeast from Amsterdam to use for our collab. And I think we used your guys' brink. And the pressure gauge on the brink was broken, and we wanted to pressurize it to 5 PSI. So we were just like, I think it was Matt Bod or maybe me. I don't know. We did it and we like let the air come out of the little the vent there. Like and I was like, it feels like 5.
That's normally how stuff like that comes up.
Yeah. When it's not like German or European, we still go to like some pretty stupid names.
We did a Vol beer with Matt Tweedy at Tooth and Nail for the second time. We sold out just recently, but Pilsator, and I can't remember, it was like an aggressive robo, but it was like, this doesn't make sense for the old school style of beer. But we were like, oh, whatever, it works. I want to ask you about 3 different things all in one question.
Okay.
You're one of the early adopters, the very early adopters of the Czech Lager tap here in Ontario. There wasn't too many people using those before you guys had it. It's designed specifically for pouring German lagers. We have them now at Great Lakes. I want to know about that decision and what it means for the pour. Or sorry, not German lagers, Czech lagers. Tell me about that decision and what it means for the pour. The ringing of the bell. Tell me about that and what significance does it have. And the poker.
Which one do you want to handle?
I can do the Luker.
Okay.
So Luker.
Because I got a good addendum to that one.
Which Luker?
Yeah.
Sure.
Luker, ringing of the bell, in the poker.
Luker is, so it's a funny story. So I think we're still the only one, maybe Blood Brothers has a tower now, but we had one and now we have 2 towers. I just found them doing some research and listening to some podcasts. One of the American beer writers lives in Czech Republic, and he was talking about different pours. There's a brewery in the U.S. called Notch that I think was the first one to have them over in North America. And then just obviously looking into they are very beautiful, but they also serve a function as well, not just fashion. And so it's funny, like I think we might have. Nah, it doesn't really matter. But they were sitting on the floor, like, because we were supposed to open. I think they were sitting on the floor of my condo, the first tower, for like 8 months. Yeah. So when we opened, it was like 9 months before that I actually had it sitting there. And then while it was sitting there, like I started to notice like all these places having them. A lot of places They don't do it right. They don't do it right. However, I will say what we've kind of changed now, because like I said, mostly German, bit of Czech. For us,
the German beer still work through them though.
It does, but it doesn't always benefit to pour it like the Czech.
Yeah.
And so for example, the only beer that we had on, we have 9 taps.
Yep.
The only beer we had on up until recently when it finally sold, the Rauk beer. Rauk beer is the only beer we poured like the Czechs.
Okay.
So like the Fladinka, like the smooth pour. Everything else is done like more of like sharp pour style. So where we open it fully, don't submerge, pour bright beer, and then just top up with foam until it goes over. And so I found that like actually certain beers like a Helles, a Pils, whatever, are more benefited from that style of pouring and not necessarily doing the proper Czech pour.
Yeah.
But for those Czech beers or German beers or whatever that are maybe more beneficial to that style of pouring, the foam that you get, the experience that you have drinking it, the visual aspect of the beer too is just like it's very superior.
Yeah.
It's great. That is not to say that those like the flow control European standard faucets are not also great.
Well, we're going to go back to the brewery after this podcast, and we're going to make you drink one of ours from the Lucre. So,
Make.
Make you and Matt, you said you had a story about.
Well,
the Lucre.
it's like he got into it's like this. We got these Lucres, we made a big deal out of it, and then like.
Everyone's
2.5 years later, I was like, what if we just do sharp pours? Okay. Which, like, now at this point, like, I'm waiting for the thing. It's like, okay, I think we should get different.
I miss the old ones.
We had, like I said, Rittmeyer come. The owner of Rittmeyer, a 600-year-old brewery, and he watched me pour the Absacker, and he's like, get out of the bar. Like, get away from the bar. This is how you pour. And he had like 4 glasses going at the same time, all foam. And he's like, there, give that to your customer. And we're like, the customer will never drink like 5 inches or whatever of head on the top of a 12
brother,
we lean into that.
They will if you bully them.
They will if you make them.
I wasn't going to bring
But
that
it's
up
also
and ask
like-
you guys.
Oh, we've got.
I know there was a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but you know, on like the Reddit forums back in the day saying like, can you believe they're charging this much and it's half foam? And
I never saw it on Reddit, but and we didn't. And now we've gotten a big influx of people. It used to be mostly online when we would post stuff. There was one.
Like on your Instagram account or whatever.
Correct. Yeah. There was one person recently where it was we posted like it was just like in a Willowbeaker.
Yeah.
Or Dunkel or whatever, and there was like honestly a normal amount of foam, like what you would get if you went to Augustine or wherever in Germany, and. This person commented, they were like, yeah, I've been to Europe many times and I've never been served a beer half foam like you guys do. And then I was feeling, normally we don't respond, but I was feeling a little bit
chippy.
I'd messaged Matt before to get the
go
blessing.
ahead.
Yeah. And I was feeling that, and I said, you can get bad beers poured in Europe too. No response. This person followed us, by the way, which is like, are you just following because you hate?
So who does run the social? Never let a brewer run the social.
It's both of us.
Yeah.
I think well, you want socials or you want to talk about ringing the bell?
I want to ring the bell, but no, I'm more pointing
it's
out.
both of us. Like the short story is like we were trying to post kind of like basically like a marketing manager tell you, and at a certain point we're just like, fuck it. We're just gonna say what's
I'm doing the quotations more authentic.
Yeah, and it just comes from our voice, and we've just kind of, we've honestly sort of painted ourselves into a corner now, because now it's just like we can't just say like, hey, here's the thing we did.
People come in and they like want us to like post something live in front of them. They're like, I love your Instagram post. It's like, really?
Yeah.
I'm like,
lean into
I'm
it.
having like episodes every time I want.
So that's it. In the ringing the bell. So something that we've incorporated now, and something that we've become much more, or at least I'm much more passionate about, but I know Adam is as well, is like the beer is great. Like that's awesome to make great beer, but like for me, it's service, like service styles, service cultures is awesome and really underrepresented in North America. So we started incorporating Stitch Foss into our service. So every Friday at 5, we weren't the first people to do that, but like we started incorporating it. And like one thing that they have in Germany is they'll like ring a bell. So we install the bell and then we ring it at 5, and it's fun. People clap, and I feel like a kind of like a pilot who's landed a plane. When people clap, it's just like, I'm just doing my job. Like, thanks, but okay.
Steam whistle rings the bell or pulls the train horn or whatever at 5 o'clock.
God, that's cool. Yeah. That'd be better. So yeah, that's what we do for it. And then like sometimes there are like events, like we'll ring it so if we have like multiple pour, or if we're tapping multiple Stitch Foss during the day, like sometimes you hear it 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
Now I hear, and I know this for a fact actually, but a former colleague of yours who worked for you guys, Alan.
Yeah.
He's
Big
got
Al.
Big
Who's
Al.
that?
He's got this nice bar called the Elmwood, right by Great Lakes, and if everyone at the bar orders the exact same thing, he'll ring a bell. Or
does he do that?
I don't know if it's the bell or if it's a
That's cool.
like a handheld thing. But we were in there a couple weeks ago, and everyone at the bar, everyone was had ordered a Sunnyside. So Al didn't do it, but someone else came and he was ringing the bell, and we were like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Everyone at the bar is ordered the same thing."
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
That's a great idea.
Such a good idea. That's
Alan,
annoying.
we're stealing that.
Yeah, we might start incorporating that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
But it has to be a separate bell.
Yeah.
It's a different bell.
Yeah. Okay,
I
and
love
the
that.
poker now.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there's 2 breweries in this province that have used the poker. You guys and us.
Oh, I didn't know
we
you
have
did it.
we have one. We do it.
Not a big deal?
Not a big deal. We only do it the odd time, and it's usually around the holidays where we do a Christmas holiday thing, and then we'll pull it out and put it right on the bar. It's probably not the safest place, but we trained some of our staff how to use it. So, what is it, and why do you guys do it?
So I think I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but Bierstacheln, beer poking is the name. We started doing it.
Just sounds dirty too.
Yeah,
But,
I think it's actually translated to beer stinging.
Yeah.
Is that
I
true?
think that's the.
Oh, I thought it was beer poking. but
No,
anyway.
I think
Either
it's-
way, we call it the poker.
Yeah, it's. I looked it up.
You
I
say
think it's.
sting, I say poke.
Yeah.
What do you do with the stinger?
Yeah.
You poke
it in the
people.
beer.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying they call it stinging it.
It's like a branding iron.
Yeah, I was joking with people this past. So this past April, end of April, was our 3rd year doing it. We do a Bock event where we brew our Doppelbock. The first year we did a Maibock and a Weizenbock. Since then, we've knocked it down to 2 bocks where we do a Doppelbock, a Weizenbock, and then we keep a keg of our previous year's Doppelbock. And when we were doing that event for the first year, they in Germany they call it Stark Beer Fest. It's usually around March kind of time when it's like nice out but still cold, and that's their strong beer event. Full beer, Doppelbock, and this is kind of like a thing that they do, beer poking, where it just enhances the drinking experience. And I think that even because I had never had it done to me before we bought them and started doing it for that event, I underestimated how much
changes the complexion.
it changes the complexion of the beer, mostly the foam, not really the beer itself, maybe a bit of carbonation out.
Caramelization some points.
But to me, that's mostly on the foam, and it's like it makes the foam kind of warm, and then that kind of like discrepancy between the cold beer and the warm foam. It's a great experience. The other thing we underestimated is unintentionally the marketing Instagrammability of this thing. Since outside of Oktoberfest, which is by far our busiest event, this Bock event is probably the most consistently busy one because of that factor, I think. Yeah. And that's why we started doing it. It's just like an add-on to that event.
Are you putting it right into a fire? Or are you?
Yeah, we're doing coals.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
very illegally.
So check that out on their Instagram account.
Yeah, we might have to.
No.
Any cops listening?
No. As long as the flame's not shooting.
No, we're doing.
It's just coals. There's no flame.
Yeah, we're doing hot dogs over it too. It's legal.
Yeah, but we do offer. No, I'm just kidding.
You're cooking. Last question on the beer. What's the beer you're most proud of making, Adam? And the one that really captures what True History is about, Matt?
I'll do 2, even though I feel like it should just be the one, because I know what Adam's going to say, so I'm going to do another one. I would say the beer that captures what True History is about. I'll say the Hefeweizen, and I'll say that as someone who's not a big Hefeweizen fan. And the reason I'm going to say that is because it's the beer for a place like us that spends a long time conditioning these beers. The Hefeweizen presents us opportunity to turn over a lot quicker, which means it's the beer we've brewed the most of. It's the beer we've experimented the most on. And I think it exemplifies both this concept of never fully being satisfied with where things are, trying to elevate things and trying to do things in a way that give you the best possible product. I also think that it is technically, Adam, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like you brew it more to your taste than maybe it would be in Germany. You're like, I really like the banana part of it, so I'm accentuating that.
You get like the Schneider or the Eardinger.
Yeah, where some people might be like, well, it's a little too banana. So I think it exemplifies this idea that like this is very much our own. And I also think it's just like, it is the style of beer that like when brewers come in or people who love it are like, nobody makes this. And I always tell, like, it's very finicky, obviously, and it's like not a thing. Some brewers are just like, it doesn't really work, but like it clearly shows a desire for a style that not a lot of people are doing that people love. So I'm going to say that exemplifies True History the most, even though I think what Adam's going to say is probably actually the right answer.
What was the one for me? What
do you enjoy making the most?
Helles.
Helles, yeah.
Every day, all day. I think that if you are a brewery that is like trying to go along the same path that those breweries have, like us, because we're not doing anything new. Our whole thing is doing something that's not new. If you're not brewing in Helles, then like that's like the baseline. Yeah. Right? It's like going to a pizza spot if you don't make a cheese pizza.
Yeah. But right? It's also, again, at the same point, it's a lot harder to mass deficiency. So
it's it's the same thing that Matt said with like, I think second to neck and neck with beers that have been played with the most is the Helles and the Hefeweizen, like the most tweaks.
We're going to take a little bit of time to talk about your food program now. Yeah. So just a couple questions on that. But it's the kitchen is very much part of True History. So you have a company running the kitchen. So walk us through why you chose that route as opposed to you guys running the kitchen. And two, just talk about the food program itself.
So we started running our own kitchen, and that's a really cool way to lose a lot of money really quickly. It's running a separate business. It's running three businesses at the same time. You're running a bar, you're running a restaurant, you're running a brewery. And we initially we're just like, oh, we don't want to do like German, Eastern European style food. Like we want to do something a little bit different. We're going to try whatever. So we did that for about 2 years. Like I said, absolute money pit. You're managing people. And then we'd seen other breweries, like Blood Brothers, Godspeed, were kind of like leasing out their kitchen. And I think we were on our third iteration of the kitchen and had to, I think, fire him because he was...
Anyway.
Yeah. And then I was just kind of like sitting at the bar, head in my hands, just being like, what are we going to do? And I called a good buddy of ours, Aiden, who owns a great sandwich shop on Oakwood called Damn Sandwiches. And I was just
had them?
Yes.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So I call him and I'm just like, can you, like, I need to talk to you. And he comes to the bar that night. And I explain everything that I'm doing. I'm like, do you know anybody who would take over this kitchen? He's like, I got a guy. It's a guy that you would work with in like the sort of like Limohan group of restaurants. And he's like, he's young, he's working on King Street, he hates it, he wants to do his own thing. And he said he's like, he grew up in Vienna. His dream is like a Viennese style like bistro spot. Yeah. So we're like, oh, great. So we met with Caleb and his girlfriend and business partner Charlotte, and it was just a quick like, oh, this is it. Because I think the big thing was when Caleb was describing how he like treats schnitzel, like the amount of work that goes into it, it's like it mirrors what we're doing in True History. It's just like, oh, you're doing all the little stuff. Like technically it's just hyper inefficient, but like it's why it's good. And when he was saying that, we're just like, okay, this is a match made in heaven. You know, I think he was 25 or 26 when he took over the kitchen. And yeah, it's Viennese style bistro food. I actually, as part of my honeymoon, I went to Vienna and I went to the place he's inspired by. Oh, and I can truly say he would hate me saying this, but I'm going to tell you right now, he will never listen to this, so it's fine. I went to the place he said he was inspired by, and it's just as good. Yeah. Like it is truly just as good because
No, I was going to say I've spent time in Germany twice. I went last year with my family to the ski in like the Dolomites, so I was like right on the Austrian border. Had like the bet there. It is tied with one other spot for the best schnitzel I've ever had in my life.
So he was doing that,
and I feel confident saying that because we have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't care.
So that kind of like took off and immediately like just made this like stabilization, and then like I'll make a long story pretty short. Like in September of last year or in October or something, this food influencer came in. Caleb did not ask him to come in. He just came in because he wanted to come in. I guess he was friends with other influencers who'd kind of love Caleb. But Caleb is like a big, like, I want this to be word of mouth, like, I'm doing this my way kind of thing. So this influencer comes in and does this video, and like we don't see anything, and we're like, oh, okay, I guess it's just like he posts some stories or something. So we're like, okay, whatever. And then post this
just recently, right?
Yeah, in December, on December 6th.
With no warning.
No warning. Or no, 1 day warning. He's like, okay, posting the videos, like we think we're gonna get like kind of busy. This guy's got like, it has been since then. Like I think it's in my life one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Nice. Just like the immediate, just holy shit, like explosion of people who have come in who are here to like try his food. And I think that the reason for it is because, again, he's doing something that in this city is underserviced. And
he's passionate.
And he's extremely passionate about it. And yeah, the quality of food is great. And like, yeah, there's some nights where we feel like we're running a restaurant, not a brewery, which, you know,
we're trying to
Gotta
find
serve,
the
trying to find, but it's like you can't help people coming in for a thing, and you know they're drinking and whatever, and like you expose yourself to some pretty insane people. But yeah, that's just been like such a boon to the entire business and the tap room and stuff, and just like having a partner that you can work with and bounce ideas off of, and also not have to worry about like the financial side of it. Quite frankly, is like. A huge if someone came to me and is like, I'm opening a brewery, I'm gonna like, and I'm gonna run my own kitchen, I'd be like, don't
well, you
don't
just answered a question that I have for you later, so that's gonna be your answer. But
okay.
If you could pick one thing each on the menu and just tell me what you're ordering, Adam, and what you're ordering.
What, are you saying the best or the thing that I would
the thing that you'd order
always consistently? It's probably the schnitzel.
The schnitzel, okay. Matt?
I'm gonna say the Käse Spätzle, which is like the baked Spätzle. I love the schnitzel, and the Spätzle is like very filling, but like every time I take a bite of it, I'm like, I forget
just so good.
Goddamn good this is. So like, it's so good. That's what I would probably do.
Okay, I have a couple more questions about some beer stuff. We're going to move back to that, and then pretty soon we're going to get to some rapid fire questions. But the first thing I want to know, you package all of your beer that's not on draft into 355 ml cans. Why not 473?
For me personally, I don't know if Matt, we agreed on this. I think we're pretty aligned in the reasoning. But one thing I like about, I think, here's different things. Aesthetically, I think it just looks like cuter. I like a short can. No offense to tall cans. I also like how if someone is either drinking it slower or maybe they don't want to commit, they can have a smaller amount. But also I find that sometimes, I mean, I guess I'm usually drinking pretty fast, but like some people, you get to like that bottom third and it's maybe not in the best condition. I think for something like our beers, that not best condition, i.e. warmer, would probably like affect it a bit more. For me, that's really the only reasons.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll chat after because we're seeing a lot of breweries that were doing 355s and moving to 473s
because they want to be in the LCBO.
And economies of scale too.
All right, we can.
Yeah, we
can agree to disagree.
Here's a good time. My dream is to switch everything over to 500 ml bottles.
Oh, that would be amazing. We need to get bottles back.
We've just done our first bottling run, and let me tell you, we are not going to do that.
Well, we'd have to get some equipment. The process.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, but you guys are known, you two, but True History by extension, have a reputation out there in this industry as being glassware fanatics. Spending, I'm going to say you're spending a lot of money on glassware because I know what you're paying for glassware just by getting quotes on those kind of glasses. But you're seeking in, ordering hard to find and expensive glassware. There's like a handful of you guys in Canada. So tell me, very quickly.
Shout out Milan.
Why are you guys so passionate about glassware?
I think it goes back to the first thing we said about like being in Belgium, being in Germany. Like the glassware is just as important. I think that like what the Europeans do well, and to go back to your point about the Lukers, like the Czechs serving culture might be
the best,
some of the best in the world. Like, and their whole thing is that you can be a master brewer and a master tapster. Like the beer is made and put in a keg or a serving tank or whatever. But like if you fuck up the steps that go into the glass, it doesn't. Nothing matters that happened in the brewery. Like it's equally as important. So like to have the right glassware, I think is extremely important to us. It's also like there are very few things in this job that are like genuinely fun. Like it's fun to get glassware. It's expensive and you don't like the bill after it, but it is fun to get. And I think it's like Milan as well, who are good friends of ours in Montreal. What I love at their place, and something that I kind of think we're like sort of adopting, is like mix and match glassware. Like the right glassware for the right product. Don't get me wrong, but it's like it doesn't exclusively have to come in that glass. Like we have some stuff for like our Pilsner event we did Krista in May, we did 2 beers for that as well. Like we'll put it in that, but if we run out, it'll go in the Willow Beakers or whatever. Like we're not like fanatics about it, but like,
yes, you are fanatics about it. But
but no, we're not dogmatic about it. Yeah,
I think there's like a bit of like
you have to have an everyday glass. That you can use for your beers. Yeah.
But I think it's part of the experience too, right?
For sure, it is.
Someone sees something cool that they haven't seen elsewhere. Although the Willow Beaker, like everyone's seen everywhere. I am
we just got rid of it. We are no longer using that glass.
I think it's my favorite glass. Matt hates me saying that. Matt hates me saying that.
I'm with you, Matt. I'm with you.
No. The thing that I hate is we bought all these mugs.
Yeah, okay.
So we're in Schilling for their Oktoberfest last year. And we're on their patio. If you've never been to Schilling in New Hampshire, you should go. It's beautiful. It's on this like river, whatever. And so we're in the patio, and they're serving everything in glass. And I'm with Adam and our other brewer, Joey. And Adam's just like with the glass. He's like, I think I'm over mugs, and I have never wanted to.
Break a mug over someone's head more.
Jump into a river more, because it's just like we have so many mugs.
I think part of it, and this is not to come across as like pretend or whatever the word is, like,
pretentious.
I like how the mugs that we source for a brief amount of time are something that someone can only experience a beer out of at our place.
Yeah,
and then they're like, "Where did you get this mug? What is this?"
How many people have stolen them?
We don't have a lot of stealing.
Really?
Yeah.
It's shocking, because that was like a big thing going in. I think you said it's like, oh, it happened all the time. Like it really does not happen.
I thought you guys were going to bring me one, and now I'm going to have to go and steal one at no, I'm just joking. You guys have deliberately stayed off the festival circuit and away from LCBO distribution now. So why is that?
Wait, when you say festival circuit, do you mean like events and stuff?
Yeah, like I mean like the big beer festivals, and
I don't know. Is that
Troy? We don't get invited to a lot.
Yeah, the one word I would
entry
get rid of is deliberate.
August 29th, Brewed for You Festival. We would like you guys to attend. To have But is this a permanent philosophy, or is it just a phase that you're finding footing at your space and focusing all your attention there?
I don't know. Like I wasn't not being serious. Like we don't get invited to a ton of stuff. Like
well, you just said you're pretentious. No, I'm joking.
No, but like we'll what I think actually, like for the most part, like our batting average for saying yes to things we get invited to is like pretty high. Like we're usually open to doing it. The only times we would like not do something is like we really just don't have something that like fits the style or whatever.
So like a Because Beer Festival or something like that, or
what is that?
So it's a big beer festival in Hamilton every year, and it's actually,
if you're listening, you can invite us.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good answer though.
Like last year we did
Flowfest,
which was Greg and the guys from Counterpart put it on. We went to that. This year we can't because I'm going away and then Matt's just busy.
Oh, we need someone to work our booth. I was going to say we'll tag team, but
like we got invited down to Port Schilling's Oktoberfest celebration this year, so we're doing that.
Put it Real Beer Fest or whatever in Rochester.
So that's another question, because you just mentioned that you were in the States to do a beer festival. Why go to the States if you can't buy your beer there?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a good answer for that.
It's just fun.
It's
just
certainly fun,
and
like a brewery like that has been around for a long time. That I know. I also personally I'm friends with one of the guys who works there, and it's just a very beautiful place. Like going down. I don't know if there's any. I guess there's the long-term play of people coming up here. They hopefully they know about you and come visit.
Yeah, a little tourism.
But it's also fun. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to have 2 more questions. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to go to rapid fire questions. But I want to know what keeps you guys optimistic and what worries you.
Just generally speaking,
or being alive,
the industry in general.
Yeah.
What keeps me?
Do you want worry first?
I'm gonna start with worry. What?
Yeah. Do you want worry first or optimistic?
I'll start with what worries first, and this is kind of like I'm a little concerned, I will say, about the anti-drinking trend, and I have a very specific note about this. I think that this idea that alcohol is a pure poison, like it's a abstinence or nothing kind of situation, completely negates what I think is one of the most important things in human history, which is like pub culture. So whether it be Germany, Austria, Czech Republic, or
Canada,
even like London, like these places that have a rich pub culture, I think that you're over-indexing the health detriments of drinking to your body. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's good for you. Yeah. That's not what I'm trying to say. But like you're over-indexing this idea that like, oh, it's bad for me. It's like, well, you know what's good for you? Walking 10, 15 minutes to the pub, being with friends, being outdoors, talking to people, being in a space around other people, getting outside maybe your comfort zone, like that, I'm telling you, like I know in my bones is more beneficial to your life than the detriments to your health.
Sleep score.
Wow. We're gonna have to get this guy on the CCBA. We just had a policy meeting, a government meeting yesterday, and it's low risk drinking guidelines are just being forced to Canadians right now, 2 drinks a week, and
I think it's the thing I'm the most passionate about, because I think like this idea of optimizing life, like your health, I think is the stupidest goddamn thing in the world.
We talked about this yesterday. Not to take.
We're gonna have to come back to that another time.
I'll do a whole podcast about this. Like I will speechify to anyone who's in the bar if you get me going on this. Like I will turn the music off. I'm like, you're all listening to me now.
Yeah.
All right, and Adam, yours.
Am I doing?
You can do what keeps you optimistic.
Optimistic.
Worries I can answer you. You're gonna have an infected beer one day.
What keeps me optimistic? I don't know. The fact that I guess people keep coming in.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they like what you're doing.
I think with the whole thing to kind of tie into that, like, not just our place, your place, right? Like it's like, I kind of wonder, like, because we're in this industry, how much of our life algorithm is being fed this like anti-drinking stuff. I'm not saying it's not real. It's definitely real. It's out there, but it's also
it's real. It's in federal parliament. It's in it's like
thing. In the data too. But there's also like a lot of people out there, and I don't know. I also feel like the pendulum of life always swings back.
Of course.
So I feel like we've overcompensated in a lot of things one way in either direction, and it always comes back to the middle. It will
come back.
Yeah.
You answered my question earlier, Matt, about any advice for someone who wants to open a brewery or a tap room. You said,
don't run your own kitchen.
Yeah. Adam, really quick, what would you say?
Have a focus.
Mm-hmm. And with all your success, are there any plans for expansion into a production facility one day, or beers going back into the LCBO? Yeah, a production facility. We're seeing like a brewery like Rorschach moving to the west in Etobicoke to do like a production facility.
I don't think we have
handle the production facility.
Yeah, I don't think we have a production facility. I mean, one day, great, but like we'll see what happens within our space would be the first step.
Okay.
Like we said, we have room to expand. Like we can.
So
increase.
LCBO maybe in the future.
So this would be sort of my another thing that I like to typically. I think that the LCBO was already like the biggest monopoly in the world, and I think that they have quietly just made themselves even stronger. Mm-hmm. I don't
think it's quiet. It's
well, I think if you're not, I think if everyone
in the industry,
if you're not in the industry, you're just like, oh yeah, the LCBO is the same. And like, I think people who are not in the industry need to realize like what they have done over the last couple of years is like they are everything now. Mm-hmm. They run everything.
They're the wholesaler of records.
And I will say this to their credit. I think they have become better for craft beer than they were in the past. When we were with them, it was just like gouging. It was like we're a wine thing. We're gonna kill you. I think they're a lot better about like representing Ontario beers, making it easier for you to be in. I say that to say this. I think being a brewery in this province and just straight up ignoring the LCBO doesn't mean you have to work with them, but ignoring them, I think, would be to your detriment. I think that they've just become too big, too powerful. You have to start running your business being like, it's got to be in the back of your mind somewhere.
That was a great answer. We're going to come back with some rapid fire questions. Hang tight.
Mm-hmm.
Here we observe the elusive GLB pet octopus named Octo. Protective, territorial, passionate about hops.
I can hear you talking about me.
Its prized possession, the Great Lakes Brewery Octopus Wants to Fight 6-pack.
Which is now available at the LCBO for some reason.
Ah, yes, 6 shimmering cans of the Great Lakes Brewery Octopus Wants to Fight 6-pack. Bright, citrusy, dangerously drinkable.
How about some privacy, pal?
Unfortunately for the octopus, the 6-pack is now widely available.
Don't remind me.
Octopus Wants to Fight 6-pack, now available at the LCBO.
Why I order?
Ouchie, Great Lakes Brewery, brewed for you, Ontario.
Okay, rapid fire question time.
Mm-hmm.
Rapid fire. What beer have you been enjoying recently other than a GLB or a True History beer?
Hofbrau Original from the LCBO.
Nice.
Yeah.
Other than a GLB, that's annoying. I was going to say your Vienna lager. Guinness.
Guinness, okay. Favorite True History beer?
Sorry, of all time?
Of all time.
Hellas.
Hellas?
Mad Lockout, yeah.
Okay.
I'll say Tamave.
Name a brewery that consistently impresses you.
Ontario or
Anywhere.
Milan.
Okay.
Hildegard.
Name a person in this industry that has or continues to inspire you.
It's going to be a little bit of fanboy, but Alex from Milan become great friends of ours, and they're like similar. Alex from Milan.
Okay.
Stephen Cleary.
Oh, over at Bellwoods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
We're having
Steven.
an open house today.
I know, we're gonna go
while
there,
we're
yeah.
recording this.
Yeah,
while
yeah.
we're recording
You
this.
going?
Yeah, I'm not going. I
Yeah.
have to go to Guelph for a baseball tournament right
Yeah.
now. Best time and place for a beer.
11 a.m. on a sunny Friday.
God, you took my time. 1 p.m. on a dock.
Okay. What beer style do you think deserves more love?
No, you got.
Hellas?
Okay.
I don't know.
I thought someone was going to say Vienna Lager. Yeah.
I'll say Vienna lager.
Okay, yeah,
I genuinely do.
that's good.
Yeah.
Or alt beer. Mine's alt beer.
Oh, that's a good one.
Favorite bar to have a GLB at other than, well, I was going to say other than True History, but you don't have Great Lakes there. But
Right.
favorite beer or favorite bar to have a Great Lakes at?
The Elmwood, of course.
Yeah.
At the Elmwood.
Yeah, okay. I was trying to get Alan Shadow here. Most underrated thing on the food menu at True History?
Oh, the eggs. Holsteiner eggs.
The recent chicken liver mousse.
Yeah, that's really good too.
Best brewery you've ever toured?
So, sorry, when you say toured, do you mean been at or toured?
Either.
On decks.
Okay.
Augustina Salzburg.
Nice. If you weren't in the beer business, what would you be doing?
I don't know. I've got no other options.
Back at Volo?
I genuinely don't know. Probably bartending, quite
Okay.
honestly.
Last one. If you could have a beer with just one person in the whole world, dead or alive, famous or not, who would you choose?
Larry David.
Okay.
He can tell me why he
Nice.
doesn's like beer.
That's good. That's good.
This is tricky. I will say.
I'd say your wife. She's put up with you.
Yeah. You know what? I will say. You know what? In response to that, my wife's grandmother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, Adam, this has been a genuine pleasure. True History, what you've built from beers to the brand to the footprint is exceptional and really one of a kind in Ontario. And I would dare say even Canada. You've taken a real point of view about beer, community, what a neighborhood taproom can be, and you built something that Toronto is better for having. And I'm glad the three of us, could finally connect in person, get to know each other over a podcast. But and I'm really glad to hear your story and you guys tell your story. So I'm wishing you guys and the whole team a great 4th year of being in that spot ahead. So cheers, gents. Thanks for coming in.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Troy.
And that's it. That's all, folks. Episode 64 with Matt Tompkins and Adam Shier, co-owners and founders of the lovable and delicious True History Brewing, has moved from the mash tun to the fermenters. If you enjoyed our conversation or any other episodes, please leave a review or a comment wherever you get your podcast. It genuinely helps more than you know. Today's episode was fueled by cans of Wunderlust, or Wallonia rustic lager. It's a Belgian-inspired lager brewed with Pilsner malt and a blend of wheat, oats, rye, and corn for a layered, complex grain character. Hopped in multiple stages with the light dry hop, it was can conditioned, then cold conditioned again. The result is a crisp, dry lager with subtle peppery spice, gentle herbal citrus hop notes, and a lively, uplifting carbonation. Wunderlust is a unique experiment that still feels unmistakably lager. If you have any content you'd love to hear us discuss on the show, guest ideas, or just want to tell us what you're drinking, drop us a line at podcast@greatlakesbeer.com. Glassware recommendations too. Until next time, please remember to keep tipping your glass of fresh GLB in the right direction. Supporting local never tasted so good.
To learn more about what's happening at Great Lakes Brewery, visit greatlakesbeer.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter or follow Great Lakes Beer on your favorite social media platforms.